Octopuses are aliens, and this is an octopus eye. Here in The Independent, it says octopuses are aliens. There's a claim being made by a team of 33 researchers, peer-reviewed, saying that they're aliens. But that's not all. Have a look here. The other animals that also have those kind of slit eyes are horses, sheep, and cattle. So we go to ancient Anunnaki texts. Have 50 of the Hlahmu, which is Mars, heroes fetched for me. They actually ride them. So you can probably guess that they're the horses. Now, also another Sumerian Anunnaki text. Here is a debate between grain and sheep. The earth was first appeared barren without grain or sheep or goats. People went naked. They ate grass, blah, blah, blah. Later, gods created sheep and grain. In other words, the Anunnaki brought down those creatures with the slit eyes. If you're interested in learning more, my Patreon page, Our True History, has got this one here. Guardian angel. We now know what that actually means. Have a listen to this from Zachari Stitchin.
We come to Sumer. The right word should really be Shumer. That is the Hebrew word for it. We say in English Sumer. And the word means the place of the guardians. The Egyptians, by the way, called their term for what we translate gods, with a small g. They called them Neteru, and that meant guardians. So Sumer in Sumerian was the land of the guardians.
So that's where we got guardian angels from, and angels is messengers, so the messengers were guardians of Sumer, which is where the Anunnaki was. And here in ancient translations is the word messenger. So now we know, no more pretending. Ancient humans wore sandals. That's a footprint according to this new research. Now, that doesn't make it sound too exciting, except for hunter-gatherers was around 12,000 years ago. We're talking 136,000 years ago for them to have come up with the design for sandals. Now, who was in this location, which is South Africa, around 130-odd thousand years ago? Well, it was the Anunnaki, the ones that created humans to mine for gold. So in other words, this footprint belonged to a human that was mining on behalf of the Anunnaki that also had sandals at that period in time. Makes it even more interesting is peer-reviewed papers talking about the ancient gold mines, which so there is definitely proof that there's ancient gold mines. And they're saying here, the structures are lacking a roof, this is one particular gold mine, displaying evidence of a skilled architectural sense as well as a certain regard for sanitation and drainage. Not bad for our very ancient ancestors. Breaking news, archaeologists discover the world's oldest wooden structure, and guess where it is? Africa. Guess where the Anunnaki were? Africa. However, the dates are slightly different. Anunnaki were here 450,000 years ago, would have got to Africa about 430,000 years ago. Mainstream is saying that these wooden structures are older than the Anunnaki being here. However, we also know that mainstream get their dates wrong all the time. So, was this anything to do with the Anunnaki? Well, the Anunnaki actually admitted in their ancient texts that there was a hominid species here that was as smart as humans. And I have done a video documentary on that on my Patreon page. There's many more documentaries, over 100 odd, that will last a whole week for you to watch if you're interested. Our True History on Patreon, but it's very well worth watching because it shows you how intelligent these ancient hominids were, so they could have made these boxes. Zachari Stitchin, the gentleman that wrote about the Anunnaki creating us humans, amazing guy. However, I think he's wrong here, and let me know your thoughts. So here he describes the Anunnaki as a race name called Nephilim.
Eventually he died because they too, the Nephilim, there are tales of how they died.
So he's talking about the actual Anunnaki as Nephilim. Now, when you type in Nephilim, you can't find it. The first mention of Nephilim is actually when the young Anunnaki, the Ojiji, came down and stole women, which then had children, which in my opinion is the children, the ones that had gigantism, were the Nephilim, so not the Anunnaki. Now, obviously, going back to this where you type in Nephilim, trying to find ancient wording for it, but if you type in the word gods or God, you find it everywhere. In other words, the race name, I believe, is God for the Anunnaki or gods, just as humans, but not Nephilim. So what's your thoughts?